in the notice of regular meeting, the board may convene into closed session at any time if deemed necessary under any applicable provision of Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, including the provision permitting closed session with legal consultation. The board president may elect to address any items on the agenda in any sequence. Please stand for the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much.
Father God, as we start our board meeting tonight, I want to thank you for giving us such a wonderful day and such a wonderful community and a place to raise a family and get an education. I ask that you'll bless all the administrators and teachers and every member of the school district and the students and the families in ways that only you can, and that tonight we'll make decisions that help all of this be even better than it was before we met. And I pray all this in your son Jesus' name. Amen.
The next item is board celebrations. Basically, you can share.
I'd like to thank the primary school for a great science and math night. Everybody loved the magician. And, thank you for the teachers for coming up on that after hours and holding the math in their classroom.
I would like to thank, I know later on in the agenda, we're going to have the junior high PTO here with their presentation. But I just think about the work that the PTOs, the booster clubs, it just seems like a lot of the community gets together and does a lot for our district and our kids. And I just wanted to say, thank you for all of that, because it's just amazing when you put together what is done at each campus, and we have things like the Education Foundation that is able to give us, grants for other things, and I just like everybody to know that we really do appreciate the community effort that we're able to achieve here and the great things that we're able to do. Next item will be the superintendent report. Dr. Levette.
Thank you, Ms. Merkel, members of the board. A couple items to review with you this evening. Back in December, I mentioned that we would be submitting a request for qualifications to the market for companies to perform our demographic studies. We did do that. We had 2 responses to that, and with that, we had the committee convene, and we have selected school district strategies to perform our demographic studies. So we'll start that process of engaging them to do our demographic studies here. Also with that, the city Vernia has also done a demographic study, so they've shared their findings with us, and we've told them that once we get ours, we will share that with them as well. Also, I mentioned to you in December that we would do a request for qualification for architect services. We will put that out on February the 2nd, and with the intent that be returned by the end of February, and then we'll start working through that process. We have identified some firms to send that directly to, and then the architectural firms will start doing some capacity analysis and facility needs for us as part of the RFQ. And so the architectural firm will be selected by the Board of Trustees at a future meeting, and that architectural firm will be solely responsible for helping us pull in our capacity needs and our facility needs for a potential future bond. And then last is, back in December, we provided an update on the Lone Star Cup. Dr. Zimmer. So at that time, the Vernia, we were not 11th in the state. And so
We haven't approached you.
Okay, well,
Don't worry about it.
so at that time in December, the first ratings, when they first list came out, we were 11th in the state. And since that time, as of January 19th, the ratings come out 4 times a year. And our second rating, we have moved up from 11th to 5th. So our current standing right now is we are 5th in the state in 4A Lone Star Cup standings. And this is really just a true testament, a great accomplishment of our students, and as well as our staff and all of their efforts. And so I'd like to, commend our staff for at the high schools, and as well as the other campuses that are really putting forward a lot of efforts towards our extracurricular activities.
The next item is recognitions, the school board recognition month. Dr. Seaman?
Good evening, Ms. Burkle, I'm Dr. Levette, and members of the board. Each year during the month of January, school districts in the state of Texas take a moment to thank our elected trustees for their dedicated efforts toward advancing the mission of our schools. The theme of this year's School Board Recognition Month is planting seeds of success, and that's exactly what this school board has accomplished. Thank you, trustees, for setting a vision and helping Vernia ISD grow into a district we can all be proud of. Tonight, the students, teachers, staff members, and administrators of Vernia ISD would like to thank each of our school board members for the role that you all play in shaping the lives of our children and community. I'd like to invite everyone to direct your attention to the screen for a moment as our students express their gratitude towards you personally.
It helps keep schools organized and in line.
Support the Vernia districts and people that keep on going and trying their hardest.
Shares it with other people.
What do you guys think the school board does?
Gives us a better education. Helps us learn.
Gives us more fun stuff to do in school.
Teaches us.
Thank you, school board, for all your time and all the things that you do for our school and making sure that we have good teachers to teach us all the things that we need to know.
Thank you, school board, for improving our school and getting new supplies for the school.
Thank you, school board, for working extra hours.
Thank you, school board, for all our recess equipment. Thank you, school board, for taking care of all our schools.
Thank you, school board, for helping our school that I just love.
Thank you, board, for working through difficult decisions. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, board, for all the time you give. Thank you, board, for always improving our school.
Thank you for our teachers, and they are so good. Thank you for doing art, math, and amendments. Thank you for our books.
Thank you for computers and math class.
Thank you for our volcanoes. Gracias por mi maestra español. Thank you for my teachers. Thank you for my friends and my teacher. Thank you for more recess. Thank you for smart boards. Thank you for our playground.
Thank you for our basketball equipment. It helps us be awesome. Thank you for all the art supplies.
Thank you for making our math class more hands-on.
Thank you for letting us play sports.
Thank you for making it possible to do project sections. Thank you for making it possible for us to do great lines. Thank you for athletic equipment. It helps us become pros. Thank you for our awesome coaches.
Thank you for the wonderful cafeterias. Thank you for supporting the staff. Thank you for supporting all the people who help us learn and make our day great.
1, 2, 3. Thank you, board, and everything you do.
I'd like to invite trustees, once again, thank you for the work you have done to help our children grow. To conclude our recognition of you this evening, I'm joined by some of our amazing students. who will present each of you with a certificate of appreciation and a rock. Now, hang on with me. It's not because you weigh anybody down. These specially painted rocks are created for you by our students on each of our campuses. They're going to be permanently placed in a garden at our primary campus as living and enduring reminders of the strong foundation you've established for this district, upon which we can all continue to build and grow together into a bright future. So, hey, please join me in thanking these trustees.
Thank you very much. These rocks are amazing, and the video was terrific. Thank you so much. The next item is the Texas School Public Relations Association Scholarship Award to Dr. Jordan Zimmer. Dr. Levesque?
Yes, as part of members of the board, I also would like to echo what Dr. Zimmer said, and the students did an outstanding job of recognizing the video and the certificates and the rocks. Very creative. It's great to see that we're celebrating our arts. With that, Dr. Zimmer is here, and I found out in December that Dr. Zimmer had applied for and received one of 14 scholarships to the Texas School Public Relations Association annual convention. And so he had to apply for that, write essays, and I'm honored that he joined us in June, at the end of June, 1st of July. He continues to be very creative and find ways to really market and showcase the successes of our district. And so I think he was able to convince the committee, the scholarship committee, and so I wanted to recognize him not only for the efforts he's done starting with us in July, in a short period of time, of really trying to rebrand what we can do to showcase the talents of our staff and our students, but also the fact that he did receive the scholarship, which is all encompassing. It covers every bit of his expenses, as well as puts him up in a really nice area of the hotel, and he will be recognized at the opening ceremonies at Texas School PR Association. And so I wanted to have a chance to publicly recognize him here this evening, and also to honor him with that scholarship.
So Dr. Levesque asked me if I wanted to say anything, and so I'll keep it short. Thank you for the honor, and thank you for recognizing me. I appreciate it tonight. But I'll tell you what I told TSPRA and what I told their scholarship committee. This award is not about me, and the communication program that I'm trying to build is not about me. It's about our students. It's about our teachers and our staff. And it's a privilege for me to get to partner with them, to be on mission with them to promote the teaching and learning initiative in this district. So what this scholarship will allow me to do is to be the very best communications director that our students can have, and that's what they deserve. So thank you again for honoring me, for recognizing me, but I know you'll join with me, you'll partner with me in moving forward and focusing on our students and our teachers and staff and the incredible work that they're all doing and the successes that they're having each and every day. Because that's who this is all about. That's the reason we're here. It's about teaching and learning. So thank you for giving me the honor of being here with you in this district and for honoring me tonight. I appreciate it.
Now we'll move on to discussion and report items. The first item is the Institute of Public School Initiatives Dual Language Spanish Immersion Program Report. Dr. Wood.
Good evening, Mrs. Burkle, Dr. Levesque, members of the board. We engaged the Institute of Public School Initiatives, otherwise known as IPSI, is our term of endearment for this group, We engaged them in the fall of 2018 to conduct a full program evaluation for both our dual language and our Spanish immersion programs. The objective for that evaluation was to be sure that our programming model is, number one, effective, meaning it's working well for all of our students. And the second prong was to be sure that we are efficient with our resources, so that we're good stewards of public funds. We are currently running 3 different programs in our school district. We have a general education English program, we have dual language, and we also have Spanish immersion. So that's technically 3 different programs that we're running simultaneously. Much like our own personal budgets, sometimes we have to take a hard look at what we're doing well, the kinds of resources we have available to us, and sometimes hard decisions have to be made. We wanted to have experts help us and guide us in that decision. So we plan to invest in our general education English program, of course. We also plan to continue to invest in our dual language programming. We plan to shift our Spanish immersion program model to a Spanish enrichment program model, and we'll talk about the details of that in just a few minutes. The presentation tonight is not a full presentation of the report. It's just to highlight and pinpoint the 4 findings and the 4 recommendations that concluded from the program evaluation. Tomorrow, we are meeting with 6 different groups, and our schedule is projected up here. Thank you, Jordan, and technology folks, to roll out the results of the evaluation and our plan for moving forward. I will tell you, our plan is still in progress. We are planning to listen and learn from all of these different stakeholders in our groups tomorrow, which will only help us to move forward in the best way possible for all of our students. So with that, I'm going to pass the microphone to our 2 representatives from IPSE who are with us here tonight. We have Dr. Julie Schmall and Dr. Janice Henry.
Dr. Levette, good evening. As Dr. Wood said, I'm Dr. Janice Henry from the Institute for Public School Initiatives at the University of Texas at Austin. My colleague with me is Dr. Julie Schmall. Not present with us today are Diana Madrid, who is our language acquisition expert, who is a contributor on the report, and Iris Ornelas, who also is an expert in dual language bilingual. Before we begin, I just want to stress a few questions that are pretty big questions across our nation and our state concerning bilingual education. The first is, how should we educate our non-native English-speaking students, our growing population? The second question is, how can districts with shifting demographics simultaneously meet the needs of all learners? And the third question is, how can districts adequately prepare all learners for a future in a diverse and complex global economy? Those are 3 questions that we kept in mind as we approached the dual language Spanish immersion program evaluation. And knowing that this was a formal request from the district administration, it tells us at IPSE that the district really wanted to consider the success and educational outcomes of all students in Vernia ISD. It is our goal as we present the key information from the report, here, just to give you a brief bit of information, but all board members have full access to the report, and the report will also be provided on the website for the public. Found in the program evaluation contents would be the overview, and that gives general information about the report itself. And we followed a process for our program evaluation that included understanding the context, input, process, and product. In the context, we had to take a look at the demographics, both of the dual language program and the Spanish immersion program, and also in the context, taking a look at what are the requirements in the state of Texas for bilingual programs. In the input, we took a look at the data collection and analysis, and we pulled the findings, recommendations, and there is, of course, a transition plan that Dr. Schmall will talk to you about in a moment. Our objectives for the report are to give you a comprehensive look at comprehensive information regarding both the state requirements and the program goals that were outlined for the district. We also wanted to identify needs, concerns, program assets, so what are the positive things for the program, and opportunities for continuous improvement of the service to the students in the dual language and Spanish immersion program. We started with a review of the cumulative folders for English learners, gathering information, collecting data there. Also reviewing current instructional practices, going into classrooms, doing observations, and looking at instructional materials and resources that were available for us. In addition, there were stakeholder interviews. So there were individual meetings, just as what we had tomorrow, where stakeholders gave their input as well to the program report. One of the big things that we wanted to make sure that stood out from the report that we addressed tonight is the issue of compliance. That the number of participating students in our Texas Education Code who are not English learners shall not exceed 40% of the number of students that are enrolled in the program district-wide. That's in accordance with our Education Code. As of October 2018, the Vernia ISD's dual language program had 52% non-EL enrollment, not including the 55 students enrolled in the Spanish immersion program. So we wanted to be sure and bring this to your attention as an issue of compliance for your notification, and we will continue to share additional findings with you now.
So the report concluded, based on our data analysis of these different sources, with 4 findings and then 4 recommendations that are aligned with those 4 findings. So for each finding, there is a parallel recommendation. So finding number 1 is that the district recognizes the need for a systemic dual language Spanish immersion program vision and long-term plan. And the full report includes several different quotations that came out of our various stakeholder meetings. One of them that stood out is a quote from a district staff member that said, "We don't have systems." So there is a recognition that that is something that is needed to be put in place. The second finding was that there is a need for dual language Spanish immersion professional learning, support, and instructional resources to support teachers across the district and on each campus. One relevant quote that spoke to this finding was from a district staff member who said, "I'm still trying to wrap my head around it, the DLE program, which is complex." So there's definitely a need for additional professional learning and support. The third finding was the district recognizes the need to identify valid metrics to determine student progress and to ensure clear communication of student progress. One relevant quote from a district staff person was, "We need data we can depend on to move forward for the campus decision making." And the fourth finding was that evidence gathered during the program evaluation reveals fractures in district and campus climates and a need to nurture integration of the dual language program with other district programs and initiatives. A quote from a district staff person, "Everyone on campus isn't on the same page." So these were the 4 findings, and again, for each finding, we provided 1 recommendation. And again, when you look at the full report, you'll see numerous bullets that get into more granular aspects about each of the findings and the recommendations. So the first recommendation that goes along with the first finding was, we recommend that Vernia ISD articulate and communicate a dual language program vision and long-term plan sustained by effective systems. Again, looking at the full report, you'll see a lot of sub-bullets that go along with this recommendation. Our second recommendation is to prioritize and focus on the quality of the dual language program. This ties in with the compliance issue that was mentioned earlier, as well as finding number 2. The recommendation continues to say, provide professional learning support and instructional resources to support dual language teachers across the district and on each campus. The third recommendation is to identify valid metrics to determine student progress and to ensure clear communication of student progress. And the final recommendation is that the district develop a plan for improving campus, district, and community climates, and nurture integration of the dual language program with other district programs and initiatives. As I say, the full report contains sub-bullets for each one of these findings and recommendations. The sub-bullets for the recommendations provide clear, concrete steps that we recommend. So we provided the district with 3 different options of transition plans that would meet each of these recommendations. So we call them transition plan A, B, and C, and they moved from less aggressive to more aggressive. They were just options. And again, they included everything that we had recommended. Of course, it's up to the district to decide how to make that transition. And the district's team has met, and they really deliberated a long time about the different options, and have kind of determined a direction to go, but are still open, as we said earlier, to feedback, like the feedback that we'll get from stakeholders tomorrow. We've also set up an electronic platform that we'll be sharing on the district website, as well as at the stakeholder meetings tomorrow, to continue to gather input from stakeholders. And ISD, of course, is willing and able to continue to support the district in terms of this transition. Thank you.
We will now open the floor to any questions that you may have regarding the report.
So you mentioned district staff as stakeholders when you're going through your evaluation. Who else was a stakeholder that was interviewed?
Thank you. So we interviewed the district staff at the curriculum instruction level. We interviewed campus administrators. We interviewed parents. We had several different parent groups come throughout, actually several days throughout the week at different times. Some of those were English-speaking interviews, and some of those were facilitated in Spanish. We also had the lead LV team, which is a team that's leadership of the dual language and Spanish immersion programs. And we had teacher meetings. So those were at various times throughout the week as well to accommodate teacher schedules. So we had several opportunities throughout the week. Ms. Tabor invited different stakeholder groups. I think I've captured everyone.
When you do your presentation tomorrow, what is that going to look like? Are you going to get into more detail of the report and the different options and then gather people's comments and concerns?
So that meeting, again, will be informational, just like this was. The full report will be posted on the Vernia ISD website. I believe it's lvisd.org/DLE. So that'll be made available after the stakeholder meetings so that folks can look at it in detail. So tomorrow will be essentially the same information, and then we'll share a platform, an electronic platform, as well as a physical platform for comments or feedback.
So based on the findings, so you provided kind of a quotes in regards to the interviews. So that's a little snapshot. Based on all the feedback for each finding, is that you picked that quote because that's the general sense of what was felt?
Yeah, so the full report includes many quotations for each of the findings, and it includes a broader representative of the various stakeholder groups. The ones I chose to put on the slide for tonight were just quotes that really spoke to the heart of the finding. But if you look at the full report, you'll see it's really a broad range of statements that support those statements, as well as it wasn't just the stakeholder interviews, but in the report you'll find evidence of the number of classrooms that were visited, the number of lesson plans that were reviewed, as well as the EL cumulative folders.
Do you have a grading system that you put on there where it's more quantitative versus, subject to interpretation?
So the stakeholder interviews were more qualitative information. There is more quantitative information in terms of the number of lesson plans reviewed, and then the number of those that had, let's say, a learning objective, that had a language objective, the EL cumulative folders, that quantitative information is there as well.
But there's not a score that y'all provide that says, here's your...
Right, no, not for the stakeholder interviews. There are just numbers of the number of stakeholder interviews we did and the number of representatives per stakeholder group.
If y'all were in charge, is there an immediate change you make?
Compliance, the one slide that we have there, to ensure that you're in full compliance.
So can you elaborate on compliance and what that means for the district being out of compliance?
Sure. So, see if I can go back there.
Oh, it's frozen.
Hang on, we'll get you there.
So on the slide that talks about compliance, we've just listed there that it's important to keep note of, that the number is out